How's it going, my fellow members? I'm going to have a special Easter special on how to do certain colored eggs. You can use paint if you want it, but if you do, you're going to need newspaper. These are the selected items that you will need for this exercise. You need a pen, scissors, paper, tape is optional if you want it to be easier, and of course your eggs. So, first off, you draw a design that you want. The whole trick of it is to pretty much do a stencil. If you want grass, you pretty much just cut it out like this. Make sure to draw lines so that you know it's a stencil, like so. First off, you also need color markers. Work very well if you don't want to use paint. And of course, if you want a little bunny or whatever, who's gonna, that's fine too. And of course, draw the box around it. I find the box is easier when you want to draw a stencil. Yeah, of course, pretty much the first step is drawing stencils. Little design things there. You can also say something that says Easter on it. Of course, it takes longer if you're going to do spaces, When you're doing the stencils, be sure to actually cut out not only the boxes, but cut out the shapes inside the boxes for what you wanted to do. So let's get started. We'll cut these stencils out. Cut the boxes out first. Then you'll cut the inside of the stencil. The inside parts, these shapes. I find it easier to actually make a little incision like that to get started rather than actually cut them out with a hole or something. This is grass, obviously. Now, what you do not want to do is, after you finish cutting the stencil, is of course throw away the outline that you cut away from. Do not keep the part that's inside the boxes. That's the part you throw away. And of course, you can draw these bigger, smaller, whatever's easier. But you gotta make sure it fits around the egg. Alright. See, this is what we're left with after we cut them out, the stencil. Now what you want to do next is, of course, and this is where I find tape to be much easier, is what you'll do is you take a piece of tape, small piece, nothing big, something small like this, and you will tape the edge of the stencil onto the egg, both sides of course. So you have something like this on your egg. And then, of course, I'm using black because I don't have any new markers right now. I use them all up. But you can use it whatever color you want. And you pretty much start to fill in your stencil on your egg. The stencil, of course, is to make sure that you don't go outside of your egg. And then when you feel you've got it filled in pretty nicely, you gently remove your tape. And you can reuse your stencil, of course, if you want. And you'll have a nice design on your egg. Of course, you know, it's much easier when you have more than one design on it. You can go all the way around the egg, or you can just do one side, whatever's nice. Yeah, let's do another one, shall we? Better example. Alright, we've got our little Easter sign on there. I'll cut that out. Now when you're doing letters, it's a little more tricky. You don't want to snip the wrong thing. You got to cut tiny little cuts on here, which is why it takes longer. But if you want to be more creative, it does work and does help to make them bigger. The letters, I mean. You don't have to, but you want to be more creative. It does look better. Now, an easier thing that you could do is bump the camera a little, oops. Is you could actually get stencils online or little designs, whatever little knick-knack sprite things that you see that you like, and just print them out or draw them, which way, and then make a stencil out of those by cutting them out. Let's see here. It's taking me a while to cut out the letters. I'll get that in the editing. Fast forward it. And of course, you know, if you don't want to do letters, it's easier to just draw on them. That also works too. Yeah. It's much easier if you just draw on the eggs. Much easier if you just draw the letters on the eggs rather than actually cut them out. It takes a little bit longer than you want. But of course, you know, you can do grass all the way around. That's one that we can do. Another little trick stencil trick that we can do for Easter is, you know, draw something elaborate that goes all the way around the egg, but you want to have it be rectangle if you want to do the all the way around bit. So draw a nice rectangle. And of course, I find it best to actually cut out your rectangle before you start drawing the design, so you don't overestimate how much you're gonna need. So you can draw your box and then cut it out, or you can just do what I do and cut this out. Just cut a piece of paper out, and you take your egg and you make sure it goes all the way around. See, I have too much on there, so I'm going to cut a little bit off. So I'm going to do that. That way I've got plenty on there. And then I'm going to draw my designs. Now if you want to do circles, it is easier to use a hole puncher. I don't know if they have hole punchers with shapes on them yet. I don't know. But it does work to, you know, do your designs this way. If you want to just do something like I did, just something simple, classic Easter bands, go ahead and draw those and cut them out. Again, I'm only using black because I've used up my markers, but you can use whatever color you want. Use newspaper again if you're going to paint them with watercolor. But I find markers to work better, less messy. Do not use pencils, colored pencils, because they will puncture the egg. It's just a little risk thing that you don't want to do. Crayons, you can use crayons, but you just gotta use a light touch. So, if you want to use crayons, you can. I mean, I prefer markers over paint and everything else. Just be sure not to break your eggs. Almost done cutting through it all. I'll have another Valentine's special up for next year. I didn't get around to doing one this year because I was busy. This is essentially a new series called Kira Crafts. And I'll be sure to put that at the beginning. I do have a St. Patty's one that I didn't get around to do that, but I did manage to put it together. And that one I'll be sure to put next year because you're going to need 4-leaf clovers for that one. I did not get around to finding any this year. So you'll enjoy the St. Patty's one next year. And it's going to be homemade snow globe essentially. On how to preserve your 4-leaf clovers after you found them. Two methods. So after we cut out our stencil again, we put it on our egg with tape, obviously. Make sure it's not stuck to your egg. So it's on our egg like so. And we go ahead and fill it in. I'm going to put my arms around this way so it's easy to see. Start at the very beginning. I find this to work very much better than just painting and dyeing your eggs. You get to do whatever. Alright, so we got our stencil on. Peel that off. And you got your design on there essentially. And that's about it for the Easter eggs. Like our favorites if you enjoyed, subscribe if you come remember the day. And I'll have more of these designs up. There is I'll stick on this episode something I don't have on hand, which you can do with the eggs, is you can cut the tops off. I suggest using a pin needle to do that. You pretty much are punching a hole all the way around the top of your egg. After cutting out the carton of the egg into one section, you can pretty much lay your egg in it. But what you want to do first is, of course, punch a hole all the way In fact, it's easier if I just draw where you're supposed to do it. At the very top of your egg. You want to draw a line all the way around it. Like that. You want to draw a line all the way around it. And use a needle or a pin, something like that, and punch a hole along the line. Drain it. Drain the egg out of it. Wash it out a little bit. Make sure not to break the shell. And essentially put some potting soil on this thing. Then you can draw a little face on it. And after you draw the face on it, you put your knit, of course. Put some grass seed in the top. Put it into the carton of the egg, of the, the little cardboard cutout of the egg carton that you've got, and put your egg in it, water it, and you'll have essentially a little egg head with hair growing out of it. That's also a little trick that you can do. So, hope you enjoyed this episode of Kura Crafts. I hope this gives you a few ideas, and I'll see you with whatever I make. Stay awesome, members.